Travel expenses for Computex paid for in part by ASRock. Have you considered ASRock motherboards for your next build? Whether you're going Intel or AMD, ASRock has got something for you, and something at every price point. From the highest end motherboards with 10 gigabit Ethernet built in and all the USB ports you can stand, to affordable A620 chipsets that will let you run your AM5 CPUs with DDR5 on a very modest budget, and everything in between, ASRock has got something for you. The updates from ASRock this time are motherboards, mini PCs, and monitors, the 3 M's. 3 M's, really? Okay, I mean, I guess that makes sense. There's the Tai Chi, there's the Tai Chi Lite now. The new Lite models, yeah, it's available in both AM5 and LGA 1700, so you've got AMD and Intel for both platforms. These motherboards are identical. It's exactly the same motherboard, same peripherals, same 2.5 gig LAN, same chipset, same everything, just different, heatsink accoutrement. If you're going to get a PCIe 4, PCIe 5 heatsink, you probably don't need the built-in heatsink anyway, or maybe it's going to come with a fancier heatsink that has a fan. You can get the light version of the Tai Chi, have the same motherboard, save a few bucks on the decorations on the motherboard. A lot of people in our audience are anti-RGB. It still comes with the same RGB headers, but you can get that other version, the light version, and save a few bucks. If you're into the small form factor builds, Desk Mini and Desk Meet from our reviews or other stuff on the internet. Check this out, AM5. If you wanted 192 terabytes of memory in a small form factor system, this is pretty much your only option. It's AM5, 4 DIMM slots. It's AMD's new platform for this. I can't show it to you. I can't show you the insides, but this tiny little machine can pack an AM5 wallet. PCIe 5 storage, PCIe 5 interfaces through the thing, 2.5 gig Ethernet, 4 physical DDR5 DIMM slots, and this thing can keep it cool. One of the changes is in the power supply. They reversed the fan and altered the fan curve. That was one of the things that came up in the original Desk Mini, is that if you swap the power supply or use a different power supply, the fan orientation was different, and it really needed to be the orientation that's in the Desk Meet for optimal airflow. Well, they've already figured all that out in the new platform. And the best part, the MSRP of this new platform is supposed to be about $200-ish US. Oh, there's also the alternative version, the Desk Slim. These all use the same motherboard, and if you already have a Desk Meet, ASRock says they plan to sell just the motherboards as an upgrade, so be sure to check that out. So what about AMD at this show? Well, AMD's not actually here, but there are AMD motherboards. And we know that there's going to be a little bit of a refresh at the low power embedded end of the world. We know that from ASRock and the Desk Mini, but what else is going on with AMD? Well, AM5 servers, that's what's going on. AM5 servers are basically just sort of taking off. At least I think they are. I mean, they were originally announced in October of 2022, but I've been trying to buy one since October of 2022, and here we are. What is this, June of 2023? And I still can't buy an AM5 based server motherboard with IPMI. What's up with that? But every vendor here has an AM5 server solution with IPMI and all the fixings. PCIe 5 in a lot of cases, and a lot of PCIe slots in some cases, not all cases. Some cases need more PCIe slots. I need a chariot for my GPUs to connect to the network. Well, that would be the 8U8G Genoa A2 from ASRock. It's so large. So this chariot for a GPU will have 4 PCIe 5 U.2 and a bunch of SATA, and then all the PCIe lanes you could ever need. Notice that the PCIe lanes are just on their own carrier, and the PCIe lanes are routed to it via cable. That's the way that you ensure signal integrity. Each cable is 8 PCI Express lanes for a total of 16 per slot. So this will let you pack in a lot of H100s or other very expensive NVIDIA PCIe peripherals. This is Gigabyte's R133C10. This is an AM5 based motherboard. AM5 in the server space with full remote access, remote control, and full PCIe. Yeah, you could actually put an AMD Instinct card right in this kind of a chassis. You can tell that Gigabyte has a lot of plans for power delivery if that's the way that you want to go, or network connectivity. You get a single M.2 here on the board, plus you've got your PCI Express connectivity here and here. Being a 1U AM5 solution, it is low power. It's a dual 550 watt power supply, and that's taking into account that you're probably going to run a 300 watt GPU here. So this platform uses almost no power. At the front, you've got 4 3.5-inch bays, but you've got some options for distribution. This is how they route the SATA to the front of the system, and you could, have a PCIe card to reroute that if you wanted to do it a different way, or if you wanted to have higher density NVMe storage. I mean, there are always PCIe options you can have, but you've got a full height, full length PCIe expansion slot, 2 slots on that side, and then a single slot on this side, and it is PCIe Gen 5. You get a dedicated IPMI management port, and this is set up for ECC, non-ECC DDR5. So this is not registered error correcting memory. This is just desktop memory in this configuration. Solidigm was also here showing off the P44 Pro and the P41 and their software update. I looked for the 4 terabyte Solidigm P44 Pro. It's not here. Where's my 4 terabyte P44 Pro? The crossover point is literally happening now, because this is 30 terabytes at the highest end, and the highest end 2.5-inch mechanical hard drive we have is 22 terabytes right now. And I'm sure that more is coming down the pike, but we're reaching the crossover point, and it's just because of the number of layers, the density, and because we're moving to QLC and beyond. They were also keen to show off their partnerships with literally everybody who makes motherboards and their performance and their software update, and you should check out our video on that. If you've never heard of Solidigm, they've been in the business for a very, very long time. New name, same old people, great storage, better performance than the Samsung 980. Definitely should check out our videos on that. Computex, as always, is a who's who of technology companies, and Kioxia is here and all of their 8th generation flash storage goodness. They talk about specific things that are their technology, but there's also new technologies that they're integrating with, I guess is the way that I would describe that. And there's ES.3, or wait, no, E3.S. There we go, I got it correct. E3.S is a new form factor you probably haven't heard of, but it's coming. It's Gen 5, it's Gen 5 ready, but it's also physically about the same. It's about a 2.5-inch drive like you're used to, but the new form factor will enable better cooling, better density, and better performance with PCIe Gen 5. You see, we just couldn't make those older interfaces work the way that they were supposed to. Oh, and speaking of older interfaces, there's a lot of you that are still out there rocking your serial attached SCSI hard drives. What do? Your 1 to 4 terabyte serial attached SCSI mechanical hard drives, all you really need is some faster flash storage, but you don't want to give up your SAS interface. They've got the PM7, which is SAS based. You just plug it into your existing servers and you're good to go. And of course, Kioxia has their client SSDs, the ones that we've reviewed before, the BG5 and the new BG6. BG6 for your Steam Deck and up to 2 terabyte capacities, it's right around the corner. And with about 60% better performance, at least according to the graphs and the early information from Kioxia. The XG8, of course, we reviewed as a client volume desktop performance drive up to 4 terabytes. The performance looks pretty good on Crystal Diskmark. As you're looking at the different solutions, you're thinking U.3, that's a bigger number, that's newer, better, faster, right? Not exactly. U.2 has been tested and qualified and has spec for up to PCIe Gen 5, but U.3 technically, as of June 2023, doesn't really have a ratified spec for how you handle PCIe Gen 5. Kioxia can actually technically handle PCIe Gen 5 U.3, but for connecting directly to a host, it's limited to PCI Express 4 because the standard isn't really completely there. So think about this, we've got 3 generations of interface technology that is all talking to Kioxia BICS Flash for their interface, whether you're SAS, U.2 NVMe, U.3 NVMe, or E3.S, which is the new future-proof standard. So in addition to E3.S, there's also E1.S in the 9 and 15 millimeter variety. Now, electrically, this is the same connection, and theoretically, this electrical connection could support up to Gen 6 PCIe. You could do more PCIe lanes in this general form factor, and this is sort of targeted for replacement of M.2. So the M.2 form factor, which has a lot of shortcomings, you may see this in lieu of M.2 connectors in future generation products in your next generation desktop motherboard. But this is already sort of taken off for servers because this fits perfectly for a 1U server, and so you could pack in a whole bunch of these in a 1U chassis and still have easy access to a lot of PCIe lanes, a lot of connectivity, and a lot of storage. 700 square kilometers under roof producing the world's flash memory, 30% of it. This is a model of Kioxia's factory. This is just incredible. And it makes that wafer right there. In this factory, the latest gen technology being produced, 218 layers, up to 1 terabit triple level cell bit densities with 4 planes. It's really a progression in technology to the latest generation where they actually develop the CMOS and the flash storage on 2 different wafers and then bond them together. This is a wafer produced in Japan, everything combined all into one, but this is insane bit density, which leads to better performance and everything else. Historically, the CMOS part and the storage part were etched next to each other and then on top of each other, but now by doing it with separate wafers, they're lowering costs and complexity at maybe making things a little bit more complicated from a manufacturing standpoint, but they're pulling it off to achieve that level of density. It's really kind of nuts. European Hardware Awards 2023, best portable SSD, and that makes sense. We've seen the client-side flash, desktop computers, M.2, as well as memory storage now. Extremely high performance, you could capture 8K uncompressed because it's high performance flash.